Yes. Let me open the team. So today's date is the 15th of April 2026. The time now is 9:40 a.m. Today's video is going to be why OBInexus configuration matters. Why OBInex, why OBInexus matters. OBInexus matters. Why does OBInexus matter? Uh, because of the Biafran War, 1967 to 1970, OBInexus matter because of instability and security and welfare, primarily because the war I'm thinking about and the war effects at large was not really matter was not really done in kind of way that the Nigerian didn't really rebuild Nigeria, but 1970 and 1970. Primarily because of that, things were really getting better. But in the compound model came from OBInexus, came from security instability, stabbing, sabotage, and all of that thing that happened in Nigeria at that time. Um, we are a confederation, because it's just a decentralized, distributed um, operating system for human beings, primarily for human beings first, before any kind of digital infrastructure, any kind of other entity, human being and human life, like human life, how we are before the war. Um, I would like to add, like, we have housing there, we have all the stability there in Nigeria before the war, either before the Biafran War or the Nigerian Biafran War. But a lot of wars do break out. It's just the wars that broke out were this was too big a war to contain. And because it was too big a war to contain, that's why OBInexus really does matter. So that's the reason why OBInexus matters. There are many reasons why OBInexus matters, by the way. Um, OBInexus, O for Oscar, B for Bravo, N for November, E for Echo, X for X-ray, U for Umbrella, S for Sarah, is a confederation. And it's a sub-federation of, based on the concept of behind enemy lines. Behind enemy lines. Behind enemy lines. What does this mean? Behind enemy lines refers to the concept of, you know, being instead of the front line, you're behind the enemy and you are in enemy controlled territory. Those things use it to either kill yourself, either take your own life, or uh, do things that you wouldn't normally do. See stuff that's not there, hallucinate, do things that you wouldn't normally do. OBS under section 24, section 204 declaration of the Housing Act 1996 empowers me to build my own. And by building my own, I have freed us all. Because it comes to my minds of the war, of the Biafran War, and the things that happened in there in Nigeria, and so forth and so on. Primarily, the secondary goal of OBInexus is to primarily to build sustainable infrastructure. Things are sustainable and lasting. We're a confederation. We have a shared goals, but it works like a treaty kind of system. So think of the United Nations as an entity that can we're not part of the United Nations. We are until we can join the United Nations. You have to be part of a treaty. So think about it this way: you will have the court authority, the one in France, the human rights court in France, not the one in Germany. I can't remember the name and the postcode, but the European Court of Human Rights. Yes, that's what's called the European Court of Human Rights. It's just a building, but that building is very powerful. So they have just tripled our human rights with my UPAL framework. So the U power framework primarily, primarily, the U power framework is your rights, your power to rights, your rights to the power, your rights to power, your power of your rights. For example, you know, every right you can see, I frame human rights as a dynamic system, for neurodivergent modeling of rights. Who you say you are, so you can't affect your rights, so you can't lock you out of your own system. And OBINexus is primarily a human rights oriented human rights framework for sustainable governance via OHA of Oscar, H for hamburger, A for alpha, EU, IWU, and EG, which is low, and EG, I for indigo, J for jam, I for indigo, which is order. And because I'm trying to change Nigeria to build my own sustainable governance, my children from of the UK's uh, Housing Act 1996 empowers me because it's a legally binding document. So if I have to get I don't have to get a barrister. After because it's a legal binding, I have to check with the Nigerian barrister see if they can do this. Can I run a confederation under my legislation? And if I can, if this open business works, it will be a new way of life, a new way to live. Because the compound, compound is 1,000 times 500 square feet of line, square feet of line, no square miles of land, square miles of land, 1,000. So you're gonna have 1,000 times 500, 500,000 square miles of land, uh, uh, kilometers, 500,000 kilometers, square kilometers of miles for the plot of land. And that was one compound. That's how compounds are done in Nigeria, And this is a Catholic compound. So compound is literally, what I was born into because my grandfather was a king, and it was getting better there. But if the compound doesn't come out, we'll have to continuation. And 500 times two to the power of three will give me the square area of the Obi, Eze, and Uche, three people in one. The space I was able to which like 1,250,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 125 to times 10 to times 12 to the power 10. But it's not like I don't know what I'm saying here, but 500,000 is just equivalent for one family compound, 500,000 square feet of square kilometers of land is equal to one compound, and that was one compound, it's no family compound. These are called family compounds because your family can live there without being stabbed to death, or being shot to death for no reason, for someone that's outside the walls and throwing a gun and shooting people, the goal I'm saying, so it's 500,000 kilometers of square meters, kilometers, square kilometers of land, which is square width times height kind of thing. So that's just one compound, but I was in a duplex, so I was in double that. So 500,000 times two will be 1 million. 1 million square kilometers of land. Yeah. Which was what I inhabited as a child. When before I was 19 years with my grandfather, and I was in the community, I was enjoying life until I came here for medication. And the goal is to how this rebuilt in Nigeria via the lawyers, via my barrister. But I really started building compounds. But anyone can build a compound. Doesn't matter if it's confidential or not. Just do it first. But, because if I can file the legislation first, which I already filed. So, my unfortunately, because I don't think my letter has got to me. So I'm trying to print up to see whether my letter has been sent to the because I gave it to the hospital today, which I didn't trust the hospital though, the way, to post my letter to the post office to see whether I have gone to me because it's to file. It's just 4 months to file a human application. and they don't want to do it because it's not their work. It's not. I don't think it's part of the work. Most people don't want to do it because it's not part of the work. But as they've said they will do it, they'll post it because I'm detained under the Mental Health Act of 1983. So I'm not saying that those is bad or anything. I'm saying that they when we also when so don't ask for anything for the people around me, they don't do it. People don't do anything. I've never seen anybody do anything for anyone, and I don't want to be part of that system where people are doing stuff for me because I know the consequences of people doing stuff for me because I understand my rights. So I'm still in the mental health act of 1983, and this is why openness matters. So, for example, I'm in the UK right now. I'm behind enemy lines. I'm documenting my reality. I'm being like, what is this going to happen here? What is stable here? What works here? And it's not unconventional. No, it's not unconventional meaning of documentation. It's basically, I try to build foundation around me. Because I'm behind enemy lines. That's why I'm recording this video. This is why OBINexus matters. OBINexus is a confederation. It's literally dealing with oppression and depression surrounded by what is dealing with journaling while surrounded by job person of education. See for voice. And by me having this voice, like doing my work and doing all these things I'm doing, I feel like it's like empowering me to do something better. Because I see problems here in the world. I analytically find problems because I'm neurodivergent too. I'm ADHD and I'm trying. I'm autism. I have autism. I'm autism. I have ADHD. I have I'm tripolar, and that's what I say I have. But I don't understand all the four categories of audio divergence. But I do believe I'm ADHD, but I'm not really sure about that. No, I'm not ADHD. I'm not ADHD. But it says I am. I don't believe I am. Because it says that doesn't mean I am. Doesn't mean I am. Because they can write anything. I've seen it would write anything. In the email notes, and it's like kind of bureaucracy loop of trying to ask people for housing. So the behind name Nicholas is just the main concept I want to explore. So I'm in the UK and I'm intending under the Mental Health Act. I'm still documenting my life. I'm still following through a procedure, my things. Whether I have a hand or not, people recording for me, I don't people to record for me because if I lose my hand, I'll need to take the video camera, I'll have to record my video. I'll need to because my fingers would be terrible. I'm able to record. If I have a laceration, even a small cut in my, even a laceration, more cut in my hand, a small laceration on my fingers. This is the prick a needle because I find it difficult to operate my computer. That's what we operate in space. Doesn't give that because by operating in space, if I have a small laceration in my thumb, in my thumb or my fingers, such as a blood test, I will not be able to operate the computer. I'll feel lethargic to operate it, because this small cut doesn't it's not that I've done a cut. It's not that the cut matters. It's because it stops me from doing what I want to do. So this is why openness matters. Because the infrastructure around it should be around us. And being around us is basically being around people that are being oppressed and depressed. And I'm not depressed per se. I don't have depression. I don't think like that. I don't think that depression is. I believe in better life. I believe in empowering people. But people know this stuff in themselves. They will be depressed because they have nothing they're doing. I believe what makes depression really stand out because depression is a cycle of you doing the same thing, oppression and depression. But if you break up that kind of ideology of that kind of stereotype that make you as you start feeling happier just naturally because you have done something. You start to empower yourself to do something different, and you can be, but it's not like depression is, if you know this stuff, if you know what I'm talking about now, if you know that depression is like the main cause of mental illness, is that depression, mental illness, they work together, because it's not like you start with depression, you start with medication, you didn't have this. It's not about that. It's about finding a way to solve your own problem. You know what I'm saying? Before this is what the problem is. Identify the problem. Identify the problem in kind of the core factor of things. So so you're gonna have the operating system. So you got a NAWI, N for November, N for November, E for Echo, W for West, I for Indigo. NAWI OS, which is Muko OS, Design and Technical Constitution. You're gonna have Security and Welfare Constitution in Onisha, you're gonna have the masquerade one, the one for liberty and freedom of life, and in any group. But that's the three compounds, basically three operating systems. That's be three operating systems, for now. But it's gonna be different person, as far as I can see, there's no to go. There's no people that are living there, because it's just duplex, just a duplex, it's just a triplex, this word for triplex, But I don't want insecurity to be rampant. I want some people to have their own stability. So security and welfare deal with welfare and security, deal with the stability of the people in Onitsha, and they were from Onitsha. And Onitsha is a great place to live because Onitsha is, where all the Philip and Amagwali come from. Philip Amagwali and all these people that are intellectual. And you have people like that that do their own job, like have stability, because we don't know who we are. We have to find our stability, and that's who we are. And I found mine. Not in the UK. Mine want to go back to Nigeria. I've got my money, and because I filed a lawsuit against now for human rights violation, and I'm entitled to a significant amount of money via the own framework, but I will not take £1 million or £2 million. I'll take up to a billion and over, a trillion over, because I'm three person in one, a trillion over. I'll take a trillion over, because I'm not joking about my human rights. I've been in the kind of be abused, for petty things I didn't do, but I understood my human rights, and that's what makes me the difference. That's what makes me stand out. Uh, what also the so behind enemy lines, like behind was the sabotage, there's killing, there's massacre, there's unfair treatment, there's protocol violation. That's where I'm from. That's where the war started. The people that bled to death, the hunger, the blockade. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just all the things happen in Brethren War with my compound model, and trying to have something that's ergonomic, built around the people of Onitsha. People want to be masquerades, people want to enjoy life. People want to celebrate themselves, and that's what I believe. Because they are butterflies on the battlefield. The Biafrans are butterflies on the battlefield. So they are butterflies, and the way they fall and drift like butterflies. Kind of the war. Because they're the good people. They're trying to put sense into the world, and I've got to show you my artwork. I've seen this twice, but there's this battlefield which basically tries to break them, and there's the butterflies, which are the Biafran soldiers, which are on the battlefield, and you got different kind of colors and the patterns, and basically you got like different kind of stickers, feel like stickers on the cloth, attire. It's an initial attire, but this initial attire is kind of a memorial initial attire. It's like a Biafran, it's an initial attire, but it's not it's like an initial for memorial cases. So you got the battlefield, so you got like a nunu, which is the bird. You got like a king or crown. You got like different kind of people. And you got like the battlefield itself, which is like a ritual pattern on a native time. And I made this. It's blood red. It's coated in, but I can't complete it. I find it hard to complete, guys. But it is complete to a degree. So so you got the butterflies, you got the battlefield, which is the one that the first one, first pattern, and you get the second pattern, which is butterflies on the battlefield, which is the second pattern. You got the third pattern, which is yeah, it's just the two patterns for now. So those two patterns is a memorial to the bottom, and then I'm trying to reduce that as a attire, at least for attire in the Navy state. So you can have that in a kind of a clothing you wear, and that clothing will preserve your spirits of the masquerade. Because that's what I'm saying. We are the masquerade of the spirits. We are the spirits of the masquerade, basically. You got spirits of the masquerade, which are reversing to the masquerade in the kind of in the Igbo culture, and you got masquerades, the people that are living today of the spirits. We are because we're intertwined with our spirits, our ancestors, and our history. Because if the things that happen, we want to have this kind of have this kind of something that we're building here and now, there and then, and when and where, And I want it all around to the star system, all around to the Orion belt, So basically, the Orion belt is basically so you can tell the time. So I want you to look at the stars. Basically, I haven't said I'm going to put it basically, but I want you to look at the stars and tell the time. Just tell the time, because it's an operating system. So like but look at the stars through the telescope and tell the time of day, and time, time relative to everyone else. So basically, you're gonna use basically by placing the OS somewhere in Anishita and OS, you're gonna have basically I'm gonna be able to use the telescope to look at the stars and look at the Orion belt to tell the time. So this will work by how this will work by what is this concept called? A Lorentz factor. A Lorentz factor. So Lorentz factor and the drift theorem and the time dilation. All these concepts that I invented too. So just continue time because constellation is basically we align to basically every planet is aligned to a constellation. Which is star system. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. But I remember that, but I don't know what constellation means anymore. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to rebuild ourselves. We're not gonna break. We rebuild ourselves. We rebuild ourselves, and that's the goal. That's what my PhD is really about. What I'm trying to do for myself, trying to rebuild a foundation of stability. Of healthcare security, rebuild a foundation of what it means to be a BFM. So if you can think you can't do anything, you still do something about it. And that's what I'm talking about. So I made this video. So I have to find the term constellation. Constellation. Constellation meaning star structures. Yeah. So meaning a group of stars forming a recursive pattern that's usually named as a parent form or identified as a mythological figure. So that's Orion's belt, which is a constellation, which is basically the moon. But I have to be aligned to some kind of constellation because we can all constellation will always share and we'll never lose track of like Andromeda galaxy, and stuff like that. So looking up at the telescope to show time, that's what I want. That's how advanced I want it to be. So can never lose track of time because time is of the essence. Everyone has time. We all need time. We all need time. We all need time and space here and now forever. Thank you for watching the video. Massacres and all of that. Thank you for watching the video. Yeah.